Hey friends, welcome to Money RX for CRNAs and nurse practitioners. I'm Brett Fellows. A family earns $210,000 a year. They've saved $785,000 by their early 50s. They own their home. They have two kids heading to college. Can they retire in 6 years? Well, most financial calculators will say no, because the standard rules of thumb say that you need 8 to 10 times your income saved before you stop working. So that puts the target somewhere between 1.6 and 2.1 million. This family is sitting at 785,000. So that gap looks pretty big. But the gap is misleading. And the reason is the question itself. Do I have enough is the wrong question. The right question is whether your money is in the right structure to produce income for you for 30 plus years. Now, I call the wrong version of this the savings score fallacy. It is the belief that retirement readiness is one single number. Now, if you hit the number, you can retire. But if you miss the number, guess what? Keep working. And the financial media runs on this. You'll see things like 10 times income, or figures like 2 million or 1.5 million. These figures sell headlines, but they do not answer the question that a 52-year-old nurse practitioner actually needs answered. The actual question is really about structure, where the money sits, how it gets taxed. What order do you pull it out? What happens to healthcare, Social Security, and your tax bracket across a 30-year window? A family with $785,000 in the right structure can retire more comfortably than a family with 1.5 million in the wrong one. And today I'm going to show you what that looks like. I want to tell you about Vanessa and Andre. Vanessa is a family nurse practitioner and she is 52. She's worked in the same hospital system near Raleigh, North Carolina for 18 years, and she earns $138,000. Her spouse Andre is a high school assistant principal and he is 54. He earns $72,000. He has a small pension through the North Carolina retirement system that will pay him about $1,400 a month when he turns age 60. They have two children. Elijah is 17 and heading to college next fall, and Nia is 14. The combined household income is $210,000, and the total that they have saved is $785,000 for retirement. So they came to me with a spreadsheet and one question: Brett, can we actually retire in 6 years, or are we fooling ourselves? Now, when I looked at their numbers, the answer wasn't yes or no. It was maybe, not yet, but it is fixable. You see, the problem wasn't what they had saved. It was where they had put it. There were 3 gaps in their plan that were set to cost them over $200,000 in avoidable taxes and healthcare expenses if nobody caught them in time. Now, the first gap is what we call the pre-tax wall. So 83% of Vanessa and Andre's retirement sits in pre-tax accounts. Vanessa's 403b, $485,000. Andre's 403b, $165,000. Combined, this $650,000 is sitting in accounts where every dollar withdrawn is taxed as ordinary income. They have Roth accounts, but their balances are small, $62,000 for Vanessa and $28,000 for Andre. And they have a taxable brokerage account holding $45,000. But when you retire with 83% of your money in pre-tax accounts, the IRS, my friends, controls your tax bill. You don't. And this is because Required minimum distributions start at age 73 for Andre and 75 for Vanessa. And on $650,000 account balance that will continue to grow for another 20 years, well, those required distributions could push 80 to 100 grand out each year, whether they need the money or not. You then stack Social Security on top of that, and you're looking at $150,000 or more in reportable income during a year they only needed to spend $77,000. And that lands them in the 22% federal bracket or higher. It also risks IRMAA surcharges on Medicare, which begins at $218,000 for married couples, and then adds up to $11,000 per year in extra Medicare premiums. So their savings number is fine, but their structure is a problem that they have not seen yet. Gap 2, the healthcare cliff. So Vanessa wants to retire at age 58, and Andre would stop at 60. Well, that creates 7 years without employer health insurance before Vanessa reaches Medicare at age 65. Now, right now, their employer covers their health care. And after retirement, they have to go to the ACA marketplace to get coverage. And in 2026, the ACA subsidy cliff returned. What that means is, for a family of 4 earning above $124,000 in modified adjusted gross income, you will receive 0 premium tax credits. But if they were below that line, subsidies could reduce their annual premiums from $24,000 to $3,600. Yes, you heard that right. That's a $20,400 swing per year based entirely on where their income lands on the tax return. And income for ACA marketplace purposes includes every 403B withdrawal, every Roth conversion, and every capital gain. So each dollar pulled from a pre-tax account in early retirement pushes Vanessa and Andre towards that cliff. So for them, the difference between careful income management and careless withdrawals is $142,000 in healthcare costs alone over 7 years. Gap 3, the college collision. Remember, I mentioned there were 2 kids. Well, Elijah starts college next fall and Nia follows in 4 years. Now, they both plan on in-state universities at roughly $27,000 a year. So over 8 years with staggered enrollment, we're looking at total projected costs landing at around $215,000. Now, they do have 529 accounts, and their 529 balances cover about 30%. Elijah's has $38,000 and $29,000 for Nia. So the funding gap on education is around $148,000. But look at the timing of this. That gap lands during the exact years when Vanessa and Andre should be in peak retirement savings mode. Ages 50 to 58 are the highest leverage accumulation years of a career. Think about it. You have catch-up retirement contributions at age 50. Vanessa has a 457B at her hospital that she never opened. So every dollar that they divert to tuition is a dollar that doesn't compound for 25 or more years. Now that could or would be the most expensive choice they can make. And what if, to cover those education costs, Vanessa and Andre pulled the money from their 403Bs? Well, a $50,000 withdrawal at their tax bracket costs roughly $63,000 after federal and state taxes. And it removes that $50,000 from their compounding base that was supposed to grow through retirement. So I hope you can see these 3 gaps, they are all connected. The pre-tax wall limits how much money they get to keep. The healthcare cliff threatens $142,000 in otherwise avoidable costs. And the college collision competes for every dollar, turning the years that matter most. Now, none of this means that Vanessa and Andre can't retire at 58 and 60. But all of it means that the 6 years between today and that date are the most valuable planning window of their financial lives. What happens inside that window determines whether retirement costs them $200,000 more than it should, or whether they walk into retirement with a structure that works. Without a plan, Vanessa and Andre retire at age 58. They pull money from their 403B accounts. They end up blowing past the ACA marketplace subsidy cliff, and they end up paying $24,000 a year in unsubsidized healthcare premium. They watch their pre-tax balances compound into oversized required minimum distributions, and so they end up now paying taxes in retirement at rates higher than they paid while working. Who wants that? With a plan, the 6 years between now and retirement becomes a restructuring window. Every account gets assigned a specific job. College gets funded without having to touch retirement. And the first decade after they stop working runs on carefully managed income that captures not only those ACA subsidies, but fills low tax brackets with Roth conversions and positions Social Security at its maximum value. I call this the 6-year runway because that's exactly what Vanessa and Andre have. They have 6 years to restructure and reposition their accounts so the retirement they have built actually works. Now, this plan runs in 2 phases. Phase 1 is the build. That's now through retirement. And here we make 3 changes. First, Vanessa opens her 457B. Remember, I mentioned she has access through her hospital system but has never contributed. At $24,500 per year, that's new money she was not sheltering before. And the 457B has an additional benefit that most nurses overlook too. Unlike a 403B, withdrawals after leaving the employer are penalty-free at any age. So that makes it a very powerful early retirement bridge account, and we don't have to deal with this age 59 and a half requirement. Second, we have Andre increase his 403B contributions from $8,000 to $20,000 per year. Now, combined with Vanessa maxing hers out at $24,500 and with the catch-up, their pre-tax deferrals jump from $28,000 to $69,000. And third, they open a family HSA account to fund $8,550 per year, and they invest those funds. They do not spend it. And by retirement, it should hold approximately $60,000 in tax-free medical funds. So their full tax advantage capacity is now over $90,000 per year. During the years when both kids are in college, they won't hit that taxable income ceiling. And realistically, they'll average about $70,000 to $75,000 a year. Now, the tax savings from the additional deferrals is roughly $8,000 to $10,000 a year in reduced federal and state taxes, which makes the increase in saving more for retirement more affordable than it appears. And for college, the rule is simple. Use the 529 balances and current cash flow. They can take federal direct loans for the kids at subsidized rates if needed. But whatever they do, do not take a withdrawal from the 403B accounts. The tax cost of a $50,000 early withdrawal permanently destroys more retirement wealth than the loan interest ever will. And if they keep that $50,000 in their 403B and keep it invested over the next 6 years at 7% average growth, their $785,000 grows to roughly $1.3 million. Now that is a balance that they can retire on. Phase 2 we call the bridge, so ages 58 to 65. This is where the structure really begins to pay off. So Vanessa transitions to PRN work, 1 to 2 shifts per week. And at PRN rates, that's roughly $35,000 a year. Now, she of course has no benefits, but she controls her schedule. And Andre's state pension, remember, starts at age 60. That's $1,400 per month, $16,800 per year. So between the PRN income and the pension, they have roughly $52,000 a year coming in. And living expenses are at about $72,000 a year once the kids are out of the house and the mortgage principal shrinks. So the gap is pretty small. They can cover it from their contributions to taxable brokerage and Roth accounts, which can be withdrawn penalty-free at any age. And while their living expenses are covered, they can also run Roth conversions. And here's the key number. With $52,000 in earned income and the pension, they can convert approximately $70,000 from Vanessa's 403B. Now we want to use hers because she's younger, to a Roth IRA each year and stay under the $124,800 ACA subsidy threshold for medical insurance. Now those Roth conversions do cost about $8,400 per year in federal tax at the 12% bracket, but that's a tax they choose to pay now. The alternative is watching those same dollars get pulled out later at 22% or 24% when required distributions force them out in their 70s. So over those 7 bridge years, they convert approximately $490,000 from pre-tax to Roth. They capture roughly $140,000 in ACA marketplace subsidies, and they position themselves very well for Social Security. They both delay Social Security to age 70, where Vanessa's estimated benefit at 70 is $3,350 per month. And Andre's at 70 is $2,420 per month. So combined, $5,770 per month. That's over $69,000 per year in inflation-adjusted income for life. Now, if they claim at age 62, they would only get about $48,000. So the delay adds $21,000 per year, every year for the rest of their lives. So let's now look at the impact of all of this side by side. Again, same $210,000 household income, same careers, same starting point with $785,000 in retirement savings. One path cost them $200,000 more in taxes and healthcare over 20 years. The other path captures that $200,000 and redirects it into their retirement. So the answer to can we retire was always yes. The answer to can we retire well required structure. Okay, 3 things for you to take from Vanessa and Andre's plan. The question is not how much you have saved, it's where you saved it. 83% in pre-tax retirement accounts creates a tax bill the IRS controls, not you. And the 6 years before retirement are usually the only window to fix that. Healthcare in early retirement is a controllable cost. Again, the ACA marketplace subsidy has a cliff at $124,800 that creates a $20,000 annual swing based entirely on how you manage your income. And Roth conversions sized to stay below that line can save more than $140,000 over 7 years. Delaying Social Security from 62 to 70 adds $21,000 per year for life. And that decision alone can fund half of a couple's annual spending in retirement. If you are an NP or a CRNA family wondering whether the numbers actually work, we can build your version of this plan. Click the first link in the description to schedule a complimentary retirement review where we will walk through your accounts, your timeline, and what the structure looks like for your household. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.